We all know that the music affects us when we listen to it. But what if I told you that this relationship works both ways? Just as music changes us, we are changing music every time we listen. Through millions of tiny interactions, skips, likes, and replays, we have slowly and almost invisibly rewritten the DNA of modern music. The structure, the rhythm, even the very length of music has shifted. Not because artists wanted it that way, but because the way we listen has evolved. And what's most fascinating is that nobody really noticed it happening. So, let's start with a question. What do these legendary pop and rock songs have in common? Let me give you a hint. It's not something you can hear right away. All of these songs share one simple trait. None of them truly begin within the first 30 seconds. Instead, they open slowly, ambient tones, gentle build-ups, moments of patience, with space before the main idea arrives. Think about the classic Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. Its iconic guitar riff doesn't even start until 1 minute and 16 seconds in. For more than a minute, all you hear is atmosphere, an ocean of sounds preparing you for what's coming next. That used to be completely normal. Long intros weren't just tolerated, they were part of the experience. But today, that very same intro would probably make most listeners skip to the next track. And that shift, that impatience, is where our story really begins. Today, music lives in abundance. On Spotify alone, there are over 100 millions of tracks, a number so large, it's almost meaningless. If you try to listen to every single song, it would take you more than 6 centuries to finish. So instead of scarcity, we live in an age of infinity choice. And when something becomes infinite, our attention becomes the currency that matters the most. Algorithm feed us endless playlists, each one carefully predicting what we might enjoy next. But with so much to choose from, we've become restless. We skip, we shuffle, we scroll. According to the recent studies, nearly 1 out of the 3 listeners skips a song within the first 10 seconds. That means, as an artist, you have less than 10 seconds to convince someone not to leave, 10 seconds to make them care, before they move on to the next of 100 million options. It's not that we've stopped loving music, we've just forgotten how to wait for it. Today, we live in a time where there has never been more music, and yet somehow we seem to listen to it less deeply than ever. Thanks to streaming platforms like Spotify, we have instant access to tens of millions of songs. You can jump from Mozart to underground techno in a matter of seconds. And that sounds amazing, until you realize what's doing it to our attention. The average listener skips a track after 30 seconds. Some studies even say less. We are becoming addicted to that instant stimulation, to that skip button, that always promises something better just one song away. It's like musical fast food, quick, easy, and forgettable. And it's not just us the listeners, the entire music industry has adapted to this behavior. Spotify pays artists per stream, not per minute. So what's the result? Artists start writing songs designed to grab attention immediately. Quick intros, early hooks, shorter durations. In other words, music isn't to be experienced anymore. It's made to be streamed. We have reached a strange point where the amount of available music has exploded, but our emotional connection to it has shrunk. We don't wait for albums anymore. We don't play one song over and over to understand it. Instead, we scroll through playlists like we scroll through social media, hoping to feel something, but rarely staying long enough to actually feel it. Spotify's algorithm has quickly become one of the most powerful forces shaping modern music, maybe even more than record labels ever were. It decides what millions of people hear every day. But what's even more interesting is how musicians are now creating songs that please the algorithm instead of the audience. Here is how it works. Spotify counts a stream only if you listen for more than 30 seconds. So what do producers and artists do? They make sure that the listener doesn't skip before those 30 seconds. That's why so many songs now start immediately with vocals, or with a catchy beat right from the first second. There is no time for slow intros or long instrumental build-ups. Even the traditional structure of songs has changed. Choruses came earlier, intros are shorter, and bridge often disappears completely. Why? Because if you lose the listener before the 30 seconds mark, the algorithm thinks your song is weak, and then it doesn't recommend it to anyone else. And then there's the playlist culture. Spotify's algorithm tries to keep you listening as long as possible. It groups songs that feel similar, same tempo, same key, same vibe. That's why everything starts to sound the same. Artists who want to fit in with the algorithm often sacrifice uniqueness for consistency. It's safer to sound like everyone else than to risk standing out and getting skipped. The result? Music becomes optimized, not for emotion, not for creativity, but for data. A song isn't just a piece of art anymore, it's a performance in a digital attention economy, where every second counts, literally. This shift doesn't just change how songs sound, it changes why they are written in the first place. Before, a musician might start with an emotion, a melody, a story to tell. Now, many start with a question. How do I make someone not skip this track? It's a small difference, but an important one. Because when music becomes engineered for attention, instead of expression, something human slowly disappears. Producers have begun to think like marketers. Short intros, early hooks, repetition that sticks like glue. Every detail calculated to maximize completion rates. Even lyrics are affected. They have become simpler, more repetitive, not because artists are less capable, but because repetition keeps the brain engaged. It's the same trick used in advertising jingles, the art of staying in your head, even when you don't want it to. And so, while the tools we use to make music have never been more powerful, the emotional range of mainstream songs has quietly narrowed. Everything's optimized, compressed, quantized, polished, until it fits perfectly into the feed. It's as if we've trained ourselves to mistake consistency for quality and catchiness for meaning. But there's a quiet irony in all this. The technology designed to give us endless musical freedom might be the very thing making all music sound the same. We've reached a strange moment in musical history. Never before has it been so easy to make a song, and never before has it been so hard to make one that matters. Technology has given us infinity possibilities, millions of tracks at our fingertips, AI tools that can create melodies in seconds, and platforms that can turn a bedroom artist into a global name overnight. But with every convenience comes a quiet cost, because when creation becomes effortless, we risk losing the struggle, the human friction that gave art its depth. In a way, Spotify, algorithms, even AI, they didn't kill music. They changed the ecosystem it grows in. They made it efficient. But art was never meant to be efficient, it was meant to be felt. While today's music is shaped by algorithms, there are still creators who ignore every rule and ended up making something absolutely unbelievable. If you want to see what that looks like, meet the man who spent 10 years building a full operating system alone, created his own programming language, and claimed he was doing it because God personally told him to. Terry A. Davis. A story so bizarre and brilliant you won't believe it's real. I made a whole video about him. And if anything deserves your next click, it's this.